They say good girls follow the rules. They smile, they show up, they keep it together. But you, we know behind that polished exterior, there's a whole lot of anxiety. Hi, I'm Sam, chronic overthinker and host of Good Girls Have Anxiety. This podcast is for anyone who's ever looked calm on the outside, but was secretly spiraling over that one text they sent 3 days ago. Each week, we dive into the messy, hilarious, and sometimes uncomfortable truth about mental health, people-pleasing, boundaries, burnout, and why saying no still makes some of us sweat like we're on trial. We're talking real talk, zero fluff, just honest conversations with a few laughs, and maybe a bit of swearing, or a lot of swearing. Because being a good girl doesn't always mean you're okay all the time. And having anxiety doesn't make you any less powerful, lovable, or worthy. This is Good Girls Have Anxiety. Take a breath, unclench your jaw. You're in the right place.
Thanks for listening to Good Girls Have Anxiety. If you haven't already, please subscribe, follow, and share, as that's the best way to help our little podcast grow.
All right, so this episode, I feel like, has been a long time coming because we have talked a lot since becoming friends, and we have not shared our birth stories on purpose because we wanted to do it live on the pod. So, how do we want to do this? Do you want to go? Who was born first? Blake.
Blake would have been born first. You want to do like that? That's actually a great idea because we can go Blake, Janie, Wyatt, Elliot.
It's going to be so hard to not just talk over each other.
Or just giggle.
Let's do it.
Okay, first, can I just say like how we got to me asking you to join the pod?
Yes.
Because I actually love this story because I feel like I've told a couple people this and I hope that that's okay.
Yeah.
But like I feel like kind of like it went in a direction, like in the way that we spoke when I asked to come on the pod, just kind of like sets the tone for our friendship in this podcast. And it really just says everything. So we have one mutual friend. We both lived in Vancouver area around the same time, but we didn't know each other. But we had one mutual friend. And that mutual friend suggested we become friends when you and I both moved to Calgary. And you and I were both kind of like nonchalant about it. We're kind of like,
and I didn't know that you were nonchalant about it. I didn't know if you like had friends here or not, or like had support.
So you were gonna let me have no friends and be like whatever about this girl?
But I in my head was like, well, I have to hang out with this girl because she's like out here and lonely, which is not the truth. Not the truth at all. But I was like, I feel bad for like ditching this girl, but like I don't like I've got
Did
enough.
you ditch me?
I've got enough friends. No, but I wasn't like actively reaching out.
Oh.
I felt bad because in my head I'm like, well, she's out here with like no family, no friends.
How dare you, Samantha? You have these thoughts. You're just like, let me
but I
die
didn't know you.
Ugh. Okay.
But I felt guilt about it for a long time. And I didn't even know you. But I was like,
but
this girl. But then I like didn't have the capacity because we each had like we just had babies. Obviously, I moved provinces. But I was always thinking about this hypothetical Caitlin in my head. And I hadn't even seen a picture of you. I had no idea who you were. And then finally
we got, well, okay, hold on. Because I actually forgot about this part. When I explained our friendship, I didn't talk about this. So we finally make plans to go to the zoo.
Yes. What made us actually finally decide to hang out?
I don't know. I honestly don't remember. I think you were just like, I'm super, super busy, blah, 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 blah. And then you were like, I have this one day.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, guess we're hanging out that day. That's cool.
Yeah.
And I had kept Blake home from school.
I will never I can't believe you forgot this. I will never forget this.
I don't think I forgot.
Okay.
Do you want to say it?
Yes.
Okay, you tell it.
Okay, this is from my perspective.
Okay.
So I'm kind of going into this like, sure, I like love to go to the zoo, but we've never hung out. I have no idea who you are. I'm going on a blind date.
Yeah.
I did not keep my daughter home from school because I had said previously, like, I just like don't manage the two kids well on my own. Janie's like a bit of like wild one, and then you can't talk and visit. So I totally am up for that, but we're not going to be able to visit. So I don't know if I explained that to you or not. But
No,
like,
because I fully was right. I was like, sweet, this girl's going to come over and her daughter's going to play with Blake.
No,
and I'm so happy.
Did not. No way.
Yeah.
I definitely had said that I was bringing Janie.
Yeah,
but I
had
think
completely
maybe you
bypassed
missed that. Yeah, because I was like, I want to get to know this mom first, because then we would never be able to talk.
I don't think I have any friends who have been like, I want to get to know the mom first. No, it's go take my kid.
Really? That's so good. No, I want to like get to know you.
Not shade to any of my girlfriends. I love you all dearly, but like it's almost like an odd, like I remember something had happened when like over like Easter, where something had happened with one of the kids, and I was mortified, obviously, but I was more concerned about the kids. And somebody was like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And I remember looking at them like, "The fuck did you ask me?" Like,
do I matter anymore?
what do you mean? I don't think anybody in that situation ever checks on the mom.
Yeah.
But that's really sweet that you thought about like wanting to get to know
with
me.
you. Yeah, that's why we were hanging out.
I love that.
Fuck the kids. And so I left Janie in daycare, and we were going to go to the zoo. And so I had my son with me. And first off, you say to me, we'll meet you at like the entry to the gate. I'll be unwashed and well fed. And immediately I was like, oh, I like this girl. Oh, we're friends. There it is. Pop goes the weasel.
That is one of our first branded t-shirts.
Hooked. And then immediately I was like, I'm putting that on a t-shirt. And then I told you my idea of the t-shirt. You're like, that sounds butt ugly. And that made me like you even more. She didn't understand the vision.
No.
But hilarious that you said that. And then to tie it off, I'm on the way. You're on the way. We live like, what, a 35, 40-minute drive apart?
Yeah.
And the zoo's barely in the middle of that, closer to me than you. And I get a text or call from you saying, I locked my keys in my trunk and I can't come to the zoo. You're like trying to figure out a way to, I'm like, it's not happening for you, Caitlin. I'm
so embarrassed I haven't met you yet. I'm like, this girl's going to think I'm like unhinged.
Which is why I like you.
Well, thank goodness.
I'm so unhinged, and I am type B of all type Bs. So do you know how often I lose shit? I immediately was like, I feel safe with this woman.
I have an Apple Watch just so I can find my phone.
And I can't find my Apple Watch right now.
And it's not on my wrist.
See? I don't know where it is and I don't know where the charger is. But that's how I find my phone, and I lose my phone a million times a day. But this sequence of events just made me feel so comfortable with you before I even entered your home. And then cut to no zoo. I just drive to your home and come over to your home and hang out for so long.
Oh, yeah. It was great. And I was like sweaty. Like, you know, like when you're like running around, you're so anxious that like, so I guess I do perspirate when I'm really, really anxious.
The anxiety's fault, not the sertraline.
It's not the sertraline. And so you show up and the first thing you say is, well, I knew it was the right house because the tow truck's there.
The walks with a broken arm. Full arm in a full cast. This man is like clopping his broken arm on the car and can't get it fucking unlocked. Thanks for listening to Good Girls Have Anxiety. If you haven't already, please subscribe, follow, and share, as that's the best way to help our little podcast reach all you anxious gals around the world. Kate comes out of the house. You're in like, I don't know, pajamas, shorts, something like that. No shoes on, a baby in tow. You're like trying to like welcome me into your home while also this tow guy's like, I can't get in your car. Well, no shit. You're down to one arm. You can't even extend your arm. What made you think you're going to be able to break into this fucking car? Like,
oh my God.
It was a wreck.
Okay, so hot take about this guy from the CAA guy, which also the only reason I have, I guess it's AMA here. Only reason I have AMA is because I lock my keys in the car. Like, it's a chronic thing. At least once a year it'll happen. And my in-laws renew the subscription every single year.
That's so funny.
The best Christmas gift ever.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And this guy, I'm like, I see on his truck he has a Maple Leafs thing. And I was like, oh, go Leafs, go. Because they were still like in the playoffs. And he goes, oh, yeah, like big Leafs fan. I'm like, yeah, my husband's a Leafs fan. We're from Brampton, Ontario. He's like, I'm from Brampton, Ontario. We're both the same age. And my sister-in-law went to the same high school as him. So like,
no way.
Steve's brother's wife went to the same high school as him. I don't think they knew each other, but like it got a little bit too close to home after that. So I was like, okay, have a great day. Bye. It's interesting. And I, of course, told Steve about it.
Lobster Claw.
Mr. Lobster Claw of AMA. So, and he'd only, I think he said he'd been here for like 2 years, and this guy, like, poor, he couldn't get in.
He could not.
So then he had to call another guy, and they're all telling me, you're gonna have to call a locksmith. It's gonna cost you like $600 because my vehicle has like extra things to like prevent break-ins. And so they're like trying, and I'm like, well, the other guy tried on this door, and like it was a whole thing. And then I had to crawl to the back while I think you're inside with my kids.
Yeah, I was inside with your kids.
Thanks, have fun. And so
welcome over.
And he's still telling me you might have to get a locksmith, and like eventually,
that?
yeah, and then eventually he gets in because I barely knew you.
Yeah.
Eventually he gets in. He's like, but I don't know how I'm going to get to the trunk. So now I have to crawl through my front seat into the back seat where I have two car seats.
Can't pop your trunk?
Not from. No, because another safety or security thing where because if you break in like that, it doesn't start up like the electric things of the car or whatever. Like,
Oh, your
so I
trunk
couldn't.
pop's electric?
It was like a break-in feature.
Interesting.
So you can't pop it. You like nothing came on.
Sounds like you should not lock your keys in your car.
Sounds like I should not lock my keys in the car. So I had to crawl in the front, get to the back, unhook one of the car seats, and then if I opened up, and now as this is going, the alarms are going off, so I couldn't open any other doors, and then I get to the back, I'm able to flip the latch, and then I realized because the whole thing why I got so flustered is I was trying to fit my giant wagon
in the motherfucking trunk.
Yeah, so now I have to somehow reach my arms inside, lean, and like press my body and contort my arm and hope like on a prayer that I can reach my keys, and finally I feel them pull them out, pass them to the guy so we can like close the door and then like unlock, and then everything can open up again and the alarm can finally turn off.
That's so annoying.
But I didn't have to pay the $600 fee for locksmith.
Thank God for that. Thank God for that. And so this was our first meet.
That was our first meet, and this is where it gets even better. You and I start like just divulging our entire lives to each other.
Immediately.
It was like, and somehow like the kids just went on their own. Like Blake was playing with both the kids, or she'd go to the backyard.
Well, no, I only had one kid.
But I mean like both my kids.
Oh,
like
yeah.
both. Sorry, Blake was playing with both of the babies.
Yes, so well.
So
she was so content.
She loves babies. She was so content. She was so happy. And then if she like got sick of it, she'd go to the backyard or whatever. And the babies were great. I think did they have a nap?
Yes, and Elliot. No.
Did they?
No, I just kept him up for a very long time.
Okay. But then happy. You had to nurse at one point, and this was like, it just somehow, like in that moment, I was like, do you want to be a new do you want to be like our third podcast?
Oh, yes. As I was feeding.
As you're feeding. And then you were like, yeah. And then I was like, can you put your tit away so I can give you a hug? And that right there is the basis of this whole podcast and our friendship.
And I'm pretty sure we hugged and I did not put my tit away. I'm pretty sure.
I think it was a quick like cover the nip, and that it was a good hug.
Well, now that we know each other better, I wouldn't put my tit away.
Is that milk on your shirt?
Yes,
it's not mine.
Not mine. Did you lactate? No, my friend did.
Actually, I don't know what Steve's deal is. He keeps asking me if my nipples wet. And I'm like, what? Like I get like anything on my shirt, and he's like, oh, you're leaking. Bro, I have not leaked in 4 months. Like, I don't know. Like, he gets like, instinct. I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's instinct.
Just trying to protect you from walking around with leakage.
I guess.
God, I'm leaking constantly.
Ugh.
Constantly. I mean, it's finally getting better now that he's 8 months old. Yeah. But I have walked around with like pepperoni-sized leakage on my nipples for so long. I don't even care. I don't even put a pad in. It's part of me.
Honestly, the pads suck.
Take it or leave it. Yeah, and they just slide around, and
I just hate. I don't know. Okay, let's dive in.
Let's do it, buddy.
So Blake's, please, people, don't hate me. Blake's experience, or mine and Blake's experience, was peaceful. I had a pretty easy pregnancy. It was during the pandemic in Vancouver, so it was very different. I mean, like it was very different. Like it was more of a lockdown than Calgary, a little bit less of a lockdown versus Toronto because that's where I got pregnant. So yes, I moved across country while I was like 5-6 months pregnant, and then I had her at St. Paul's Hospital, which is not very well received by most people, but it was the most wonderful experience with me. But it's not well received. And now I think they've torn it down and moved it.
Yeah, they have.
But it's not well received because it's very populated with, there's an overdose crisis in Vancouver and a drug crisis, and it was very heavily in that area. But my experience with that maternity ward was unmatched. Like I felt welcomed every time. I felt like they were there to support me and help me, and it was just a beautiful experience. They had told me pretty early on, like, she's showing very big. They also discovered a very large cyst. At the end, I was getting a little bit uncomfortable, and they're like, you know what, there's a good chance you're going to go into an emergency C-section. and I was a big baby. My brother was a big baby. Steve was a big
How
baby.
big?
I was 9 pounds, like 13 ounces, something like that.
That's a big baby.
It's a big baby. I was the second biggest baby in the hospital that week.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then I was born with hip dysplasia and I think an arm out of the socket.
Oh, shit.
Like, there's a lot of
Wrecked.
Yeah, and my mom was wrecked. And that's what I was nervous about.
Yeah.
So when they had said, like, she's showing big, like, let's explore our options. Otherwise, prepare for a C-section. And I was relieved to hear that. Again, felt like I had like a lot of support. So I went in with like a rough birth plan, just basically I want to be active throughout the labor. And while I want to have an opinion, I want you to kind of take the wheel. Like the medical team, I trust you guys very much. So that's what we did. At 39 weeks, I was induced. I was induced on August 16th.
I love that we know nothing about each other's stories because so far very similar.
Really?
Yeah, except my pregnancy was shit, but yes, keep going.
Oh. So on the 16th of August, I was induced at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I kept thinking that like my water broke, but it didn't. So like I was wearing like, you know, what you had to wear, and then they would like do like the test. Like I'd go back and forth.
Were you staying at the hospital or did they send you home?
They would send me home.
Yeah.
And then later in the night on the 19th, I went back because again, I thought I took like a quick nap and I woke up and I thought that my water broke. Like I must have peed myself. I don't know. Because I went to the hospital, they did the check and they're like, no, like this, whatever it isn't enough. And so I was like, I didn't really know what I was looking. It's my first pregnancy.
Yeah.
So then they're like, okay, well, what we could do is we could admit you and you're here all night and it's going to be a long night. Or we can send you home, give you some morphine and gravel.
My favorite.
You get a good night's sleep and you come back in the morning at 9 o'clock unless something bigger happens. Otherwise, we got you booked in for 9 a.m. We'll check you in and you'll be here until you give birth. So that's what we did. We went home. We cuddled our dog some more. We slept in our bed. It was honestly beautiful. We took like some nice pictures. There's a picture that I feel like is like the infamous picture of like my last day with Blake, where I'm like wearing these like shorts that like, it was just like it was sloppy, but it was so beautiful. Like I'm going to look at that picture forever. And we cuddled our dog and then we went to the hospital the next morning and had a great time. Also, on the way home while I was on morphine and gravel and it hit, we got me a McFlurry, and girl, it was the most delicious McFlurry I've ever eaten in my life.
Nice.
And yeah, it was great. And then I go in at 9 a.m.
Let you eat?
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
Yeah.
I think I could.
I think because you're just like...
To a certain point, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I couldn't drive.
Yeah.
And then I could eat. Yeah, it was a whole thing. Like it was just later in the evening, so I wanted like an ice cream. And then the next morning I had some breakfast. And then when we were at the hospital, it was just peaceful. Like I had my diaper bag packed. I like kept brushing my teeth because I had this thing where like I don't like the taste of my mouth. Like it's still a thing. But it only started with pregnancy and postpartum.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just chilled in the morning. We had like, honestly, our hospital room was the size of your main floor here. It was enormous. And then there was a huge, I'll show you a picture. And then we had like a closet that was like 5 by 5. It was huge.
A closet?
We had
in
a
your
closet.
Hospital room?
Yeah. It was enormous because it was also pandemic and like, so everybody was separate. But I also just got really, really lucky.
That's insane.
Yeah. I didn't have to share with anybody. So I walked, I was on the peanut, the medicine ball, took my time, did like some stretching, we cuddled.
Your water obviously has not broken.
Water has not broken.
No contractions.
Nothing. No contractions, nothing showing. I started to get uncomfortable and then very slowly the contractions were happening. They gave me like the Pitocin, I think it's called. It's like a laughing gas.
Yeah.
Hated it. Like I went pretty even keel and natural-ish, like as much as after
was it just the Cervidil that they gave you? Like the
strip?
Is that what they fist you and put it in your cervix?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. For
that too.
Induction. Right? Yeah. So they did that. So like that's really not that natural because I'm being induced.
No, but you don't have like a Foley bulb in there, and you're not hooked up to oxytocin or pitocin or anything.
No. So I'm just chilling through the whole process. It wasn't until about 3 o'clock that the contractions were. I think they're starting. So I was like, so they asked me if I wanted the epidural. I said, yes, please. They give me the epidural. And then, you're bedridden. So
I'm so jealous.
It was just very peaceful. And then at like 6 o'clock, I started pushing. And I remember there's one.
Did they break your water?
They broke my water.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, I don't see, this is what I mean. Like it gets kind of like foggy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point,
it's not.
I felt like it did. So at some point they must have broken my water and whatever, and it just kind of like went through it. And yeah, so then they started going, okay, push, push, push. And then they would have me do like intervals of 3, right? Okay, push 3 times, then take a break. Push 3 times, take a break. And then one time I wanted to go for a 4th. They're like, you want to go for a 4th? Yes. And I pushed. And then it was like the 5th push after that she came. And it was just like love. Like it was like suddenly like the whole room filled with love. And like I was crying, Steve was crying, like it was like the most beautiful thing that I've ever.
That sounds like it's out of a movie.
It was literally beautiful.
Yeah.
And, it was tough. Like, she had to go in the incubator. She had some jaundice. So we were in the hospital for 4 days. 4 days, not a penny out of the pocket.
Did you go to NICU or were you still in your room?
No, we were still in our room.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was great. And they always just came to us and we had 24/7 assistance and help. And I like.
That's awesome they didn't send her to NICU.
No, it was unmatched.
Wow.
Unmatched. It was such a great experience. Like, as weird as that sounds to say, it was beautiful. And I mean, it's not easy. None of it is easy. Like, I also had a hard time, like, like all like the tests that you have to do, like you have to like do like the movements and you have to use the toilet and whatnot. Those took a long time for me because I was so numb because of all like the Pitocin and like I think like that all or whatever. No, the
Pitocin and Pitocin is I think the chemical form of oxytocin, and that gets your body contracting. That's the hormone they give you when you're not contracting on your own to kickstart labor.
Okay.
But the laughing gas, I could be wrong. Somebody correct me.
Well, I don't know because I just couldn't feel my bottom half for a long time.
Well, that's the epidural.
Okay, so those epidurals.
Epidural makes your bottom half numb. That's exactly
but that's all. I don't know. I felt like a lot of things like weren't working, and I guess I didn't realize that almost everybody, like anybody who has an epidural, goes through that where they have struggles using the bathroom, walking and stuff like that. Yeah. Like that was a very like weird feeling for me to not have, like not have that connection.
I'm wondering if it's because you weren't. Were you having super painful contractions before?
No, I barely.
I bet that's why, because my contractions were horrible.
Really?
So that epidural was like a breath of fresh air. It was like, oh my God, I needed that relief. So I wonder if not having that feeling before just made you feel uneasy about the feeling.
Yeah.
Of that epidural. Or I'm like, thank God I don't fucking feel that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wonder if that just is
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she was born, and then
she was born. It was hard. Like the days that you're in the hospital are always hard. And you just like, I was
learning to breastfeed and
learning to breastfeed. Of course, right away my nipple cracked.
Yeah.
And, it was hard. And then Steve had to go back to work right away. So like he'd go back to work and I'd be in the hospital all day, which, it happens.
He was working while you were in hospital.
So he had off one day and then he went back to work.
Oh, that's so hard.
Yeah. But honestly, it was okay. Like it went by really, really quickly because all day I was just trying to sleep and nurse, and I had supportive nurses around us. Yeah, but you know what? It didn't feel that long because she was born on a Thursday. I think he had he went back to work on the Monday and we were getting out of the hospital on the Tuesday.
Oh,
that might have been it. So yeah, he had the weekend off. I feel like he went to, anyways, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it was fine. Like, it was a great experience. And then his parents were there and we just all, chilled, loved the baby, and it was fine. Like, it's weird because I forget so many things.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't traumatizing.
I was going to say, I can't forget any of it.
Yeah, that's tough.
You want mine?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Janie was measuring large. She was measuring very big, and so similar to you, my pregnancy was not lovely. It could have been a lot worse. Like you hear people that have like GD and are vomiting the entire pregnancy. I could have never, but I was super nauseous. I had very bad pelvic pain. So my pelvic bone separated while pregnant. So every time I'd walk, my pelvic bone was like popping out and cracking, and it was so painful. I could not walk. The amount of pain I felt was unreal. And so I felt that for a long time, and I was ready to have this baby. And so I was pretty set on trying my best to have a vaginal delivery. I don't know. I mean, obviously they say over and over it typically is best for baby and for mother. Like, recovery can be a lot easier. But I was like, whatever happens, happens. Like, I'm only in control of so much. But it really was my goal. So I was given the choice of induction a week early, elective C-section because she was measuring so big, or just see how she rolls. And I chose induction. So I was at BC Women's. So stressful waiting for my induction date. They didn't give me a date until like the day of. So I kept waiting and waiting and they didn't have room. So I thought, today's the day I'm getting induced. Nope. And then the next day, today's the day. Nope. I was on the schedule for 39 weeks. Induction didn't start till 39 and a half. And so every day, you know, in that end stage of pregnancy when you're like, I can't do this for another day, it was just like, I remember that being so painful. And so we lived in Langley at the time, but when I got pregnant, we were living in Gastown. So my care was out of BC, Vancouver. Well, obviously BC, out of Vancouver. So we were driving an hour for every appointment there and back. And so I knew I was being induced an hour away from home. So I had made a plan that we were going to, because they induce you and send you home. Yeah. We were going to stay either at a hotel or at my husband's cousin's house who lived nearby. So we ended up going there. And so finally it was induction day, went in, got the Cervidil, which is where they fucking fist you. You have not been in labor yet. This is your first baby. You've never been in labor. Sure, you've maybe had your cervix checked at this point to know, especially prepping for induction or like had a couple sweeps. But this lady shoved her entire hand and forearm into my body and put that Cervidil on my cervix. And I was like this. At one point, she takes her arm out and does this like arm roll, like she's yes, like she's gearing up for a pitch at fucking center field, and goes, "You need to relax." Yes, you need to relax. It's hurting my shoulder. Ma'am, your whole fist is inside of me. How could I relax?
It's a strip. It's a sharp strip.
Well, I didn't know it was like a pad with a string. For me.
Mine wasn't that.
Yeah, mine was like a tiny pad with a string, and she was tucking it into my cervix, which, if you don't know, like when you get an IUD, your cervix is closed. Well, at least mine was still fairly closed. And it's up at the very top of your vagina. It's what holds the baby in. So like, that's so high up there. And she had it in between two fingers, and the rest of that hand went up there. I was just so shocked. I'm like, maybe a little morphine would have been nice for that, ma'am. Like, really? We're just going in dry? You're not going to warm me up at all?
I'm like squeezing my face here, and I've
so uncomfortable. Yeah. So anyway, she fists me and gives me the Cervidil. And then she's like, all right, go home, see what happens. I'm like, okay. So I'm cramping afterwards because I was just fisted for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
And she didn't even buy me dinner.
Was it?
Yes, it was. And the last. And so sends me home. So we go to Taylan's house, and she's a NICU nurse, and has a kid. So she kind of knows what's up and has like the most peaceful little home. And so she was just such a nice little host. And we just kind of hung out. I was cramping, a little uncomfortable, but we just like watched TV. And I was cramping consistently, but I've had really bad cramps my entire life. So I didn't know that those were contractions because I've had cramps way worse than that before. Like menstrual cramps when I was a teenager was worse than my labor contraction. So I didn't even realize I was in labor. And so she at one point was like, I'm pretty sure you're having very frequent contractions. I'm like, well, I mean, it hurts, but it's not like unmanageable. I'm just trying to not pay attention to it.
Well, it's also, they tell us like it's going to be like
forever.
Huge fireworks.
Yeah.
And we're going to know.
It sure did. And so it's like getting pretty unbearable. So we go back, I get the morphine, and I want to go back home. Morphine Gravel, go back home, have a good night's sleep. So I go home, morphine and Gravel slaps. We go back to Taylan's house and we go to bed. I sleep for a few hours and then wake up again, and I'm like, I need more morphine and Gravel. Like, I cannot fall back asleep. This is so painful. And it just was consistent. It wasn't arrhythmic. There was no time. I was almost like consistently in a contraction, but I wasn't. Like, I don't know. It was confusing. I've never fucking had a baby before. Yeah. I don't know. And so I'm like, okay, I call my midwife, like, meet me back at the hospital. Like, I'm just like really uncomfortable. And I would love to get some more sleep. And I get up, and Taylon's baby, at the time he's almost one or was one, woke up. And so she's making a bottle for him while it's like in the middle of the night. I'm standing in her kitchen, and we both heard my water break. It was a pop, like a crack in my back. And I felt it in my vagina, like just like a crack. And I did a Kegel, and I held my water in. And I waddled to the bathroom and released my waters into the toilet. And it was like, whoosh. I leaked a bit in my pants, but it whooshed. It was so much fluid that I thought it was going to stop. I'm like, well, your water breaks. And then you like in the movies, it's like you peed your pants, it's all over the floor, and then it stops. But it just kept going. So I thought it stops. So I changed my pants because they were wet, changed my pants. So proud of the fact I did not get it on her floor. I only have like 3 pairs of pants with me because I only planned to be in the hospital for like a number of days. But then I get these pants wet because it's still leaking. I changed my pants again, like the idiot I am. So I have no dry pants, and it just soaks these pants. And so we're like, okay, well, we got to get to the hospital because now I'm in actually a lot of pain.
You know what I just thought of? Hospitals should always have track pants. Like imagine having like a tracksuit that's like labeled from the hospital that you're getting. You know.
Like
I mean, I would
tear offs, maybe.
Tear offs. I mean, girl.
Yeah, underserved market.
Underserved market. I would absolutely subscribe.
Yeah, me too. And so all my pants are dirty, which is irrelevant, but I still think we're in it for the long haul. So my water just broke, but I didn't bring my hospital bag.
Why?
Because I'm not thinking straight. It's in the middle of the night. And they tell you, well, it's going to be, and I'm talked to my midwife already, and we're like, well, we're just going to go get more Gravol and morphine. And they say your like water breaks, and I'm not having contractions that we're timing.
Yeah.
It's just really achy and really uncomfortable. And I just feel like I have cramps, like bad cramps. But there's no like wave or anything to time. So I don't even think labor started yet. In my head, I wasn't in labor still.
Yeah.
And so we go to the hospital, I leave all the bags at Taylon's. And in the car on the way there, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, couldn't breathe, back to back. These contractions were back to back. Like, and then all of a sudden I clued in, like, oh, no. This is labor. And I'm contracting back to back. Cannot breathe. I maybe have 15 seconds between each contraction. I'm not kidding you. And it was 0 to 100, but it wasn't 0. It was constant. It was always constant. And then we get to the hospital, and I'm like about to vomit. I cannot speak. I am in 10 out of 10 pain. My pants are soaked. We've soaked the car. I don't have my bags. I go to triage, and they're asking me all the questions again at triage. And I'm like, I've been here now. This is the 3rd time today. My address hasn't changed. I haven't fucking moved. I've been induced. I haven't moved. Why are we going through this? And I am having back-to-back contractions. I'm like an animal at this fucking desk, like, and she's like, and sorry, what was your phone number? The same as an hour ago, Linda. Read the room. And my midwife goes, I think we can do this later. I'm like, you think?
Thank you, midwife.
Thank you. So we go into the back. They get me a room just at triage for labor and delivery. It was very different at BC Women's. They like have a triage like it's emergency, but it's just your midwife meets you there. Anyways, there's a room that you wait at until a room opens. So your midwife can come and do all of the work for you there without ever calling a doctor.
Oh.
So she can run blood work, they can run an IV, they can give me meds, and then, but you're not in labor and delivery. And so anyways, she's like, so it's going to be a bit till we get you a room. And I'm vomiting with each contraction. I mean, I am like puking back to back to back in this, not in a little tray, I'm projectile vomiting. I was in so much pain. I'm completely like bottom down naked. Like it was 0 to 100. Well, it wasn't ever 0, but I thought it was 0. Anyways, and so I heard her call at some point, like, Mother is not coping well because they can't get me an epidural till I'm up there. And like, I'm going to miss my chance for an epidural. And so I'd progressed at that point, I think from the house to the car, like I was like 5 centimeters, whereas before I was none. So it was happening so fast. And then And it was only a 15-minute drive. So then we get in the room. I like have to wait there for what feels like an eternity. They can't do anything for me. I'm like, can I have more morphine? They're like, I'm pretty sure this baby's coming fairly fast, so we can't do that anymore. We need to get up and get an epidural, but they're waiting for a room to clear. And so I'm just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Contracting after contracting, no break in between. I'm just not ready for this. That was like not what I was expecting. And then eventually they have a room. I don't know how long that took. And they put me in this like wheelchair that's metal grated. Anyways, I don't know. I have no underwear, no pants, no blanket, nothing. And I am just being wheeled through the hospital.
But you're also not thinking about all this stuff in the moment, because like when you're that into the depths of pain,
You're
like,
gone.
you feel like you're dying. Like I always relate it to, have you ever seen Stranger Things?
Yeah.
What's it called? The
Demigorgon?
The Demigorgon. You're like the Demigorgon, just like about to explode.
For real.
Yeah, that's like the best.
Yes,
right?
I literally felt like I was going to explode. Yeah. There was like I was going to combust.
So you don't care about
There's
like what
no
you sound
answer
like,
when
what
I'm
you're
done.
wearing, what you look like. You're
Like-
just thinking, this is it. This is my end days.
Something has taken over me and I am not well. And I knew I still had a while to go because I was only 4 or 5 centimeters. So I'm like, why do I feel like I'm in transition?
It's like you can't control your body anymore either.
Yes, not at all. And yeah, with the vomiting with every contraction. And the vomiting felt like relief.
That's awful.
Which was like, when I puked, it actually felt like a relief from pain. It was wild. So we get up there and I'm like, I didn't even have to say it, because I originally had said I want to labor in water and I don't want an epidural right away. And my midwife goes, we need an epidural stat. And I'm like, thank you. Like, thank you for not making me say that, because she knew me at that point and she was making the right calls. And so they bring in somebody to give me the epidural, who I later found out is like not in training, I don't know. They tried 5 times to intercept her.
What?
And I am contracting back to back to back to back. An hour. I sat on this bed, 45 minutes to be precise. Sat on this bed, leaned over in complete contraction. They gave me the laughing gas, which was doing nothing.
That stuff sucks. I feel like it makes it worse.
Yes. And I couldn't breathe it back into the tube because I felt like I was suffocating. So I was like taking a haul, like it was a vape, and then releasing it into the room. And they're like, Sam, we're all going to end up fucking knocked if you don't stop doing that. And so anyways, that was the longest hour of my life. And then they ended up having to call somebody in to do it, because he's like, I can't get it. So here I am in so much pain, and they're like, we can't get the epidural. I'm like, what is wrong? Why can you not? Anyways, so then this guy comes in and gets the epidural. Epidural goes in. I'm flying. I am finally like, oh my God, I can breathe. Like, the epidural was perfect. I could walk still.
Oh.
I could walk still. I could feel my feet still. It would shift, so I had to continuously move. Like, it wasn't too strong. I could still feel within my body, but I was okay. And I zonked out hard.
Like, you fell asleep?
I slept. Once I got the epidural for like 10 or 12 hours, I could not stay awake.
What?
Because what I had gone through before the epidural felt like I
thought you were about to like give birth in the hallway.
Me too. But no, it stopped.
Wow.
So epidural happened. I could finally breathe. And then my body was still contracting, but she stopped progressing. So I got to like 9.5 centimeters fast and then stopped. And they kept saying, like, we just need another, like, it's just a lip. They kept saying, like, just like a little tiny bit of the cervix is still over the edge of her head before you can start pushing. But they're like, you're having this baby today. Like, this is so exciting. This all happened so fast. Like, blah, blah, blah. And normally if people go into emergency C-section, they say typically, prior to that, like, you don't get to 9.5 centimeters dilated. It happens, but it's not typically, like, you don't get there, especially with an induction. I was in labor for 33 hours before they called it. So at a certain point,
in active labor, we're not talking from the point of induction. We're talking like active labor.
From when the contractions started. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
a long time.
A very long time. And so I was epidural in the bed for a very long time. And at a certain point, Andrew my husband goes, what's this? Why is this cord on the floor? My epidural fell out. It unconnected from the top, and I had a straight line connecting from the hospital floor to my spine.
What?
Somehow, I don't know what, they didn't tape it, they didn't close it, and it fell out and it hit the floor. So then they're like, we have to take this epidural out. We cannot put fluid through this again. And I'm 9.5 centimeters dilated. I've been through fucking hell for how long? And at this point, I didn't have any urine output even through the catheter for 9 hours, and just blood was coming out. And they were pushing fluids and fluids and fluids. And they're like, and I can't feel. So I don't know if my bladder is about to rupture. I don't know what pain is going on because I have an epidural in. And they had nothing but blood come out of me for 9 hours. So maybe at this point it was 6. But like, there's a pretty solid guess, and with nothing progressing, that we're going to C-section. And if there's no epidural in, they put you under. And I really didn't want to be put under. And so that was my big thing. I wanted to be present. And so they were like, but at this point, they're still thinking she's going to give birth. So they go, you're so close. Do you want to just ride out this epidural and give birth without the epidural? Or do you consent to us doing another epidural in another spot? And I was like, I am numb right now. Get your best person in here right now and get this in my spine, because I can't sit through contracting for an hour again. But at this point, they've already tried 5 times before that, and they don't retry in the same spot. So now, I don't know. I think that's how it works, but they can't put it in the same spot. So they need to go to a different vertebrae. And so now it's higher up my spine. And so you kind of know where this is going. And that first epidural slapped. It was so great. Incredible. Could not have asked more from an epidural. And this one just was not the same. And so I feel more, and I'm also more numb at the same time. And then shit just starts going south. So I had to sit through, pain came back while I'm sitting through a fucking another epidural. And then it gets to 8 or 9 hours, and they're like, we're going for emergency C-section because your bladder, there's no way your bladder's not about to rupture. Like, you can't have no urine output for that long, especially when they put like liters of fluid into me. I've been drinking water the whole time. And so I tried to call it about 5 hours previous to that, and they were all like, no, we really think you can do it. We really think you can do it. And I'm like, I know where this is headed. So I should have stuck to my guns then, but then I would have regretted it. Anyway, so we go into C-section, and it's an emergency, but not like a baby's not decelling. It's not like that urgent of an emergency. It just needs to happen in the next like half an hour. And so,
Okay.
which isn't that bad. Like, I'd rather that than like, your baby's dying, we need to cut you open right now. And so it's like an emergency, but I'm not dying. Baby's not dying. And so the surgeon's there, anesthesiologist is there, and she goes to push in the fluid. And I immediately, and I'd read about a high block epidural, and I was a little bit worried about it beforehand, but like, my midwife assured me it's like so rare, you don't need to worry about that. And so I immediately felt my lungs get light when they pushed it, and I vocalized it, thank God. And so I had said, oh, that's really weird, and my lungs it feels like so easy to breathe. And she immediately stopped pushing the fluid, the meds, and she was like, tell me more about that. And so my epidural traveled way higher than it should have, which means I was numb/paralyzed from like lips down instead of like nips down. So I couldn't breathe, I couldn't swallow, I couldn't talk, but I was awake. So I'm lying there before this surgery has started, choking on my own spit, unable to breathe, just like trying to fucking breathe, having a panic attack on top because I feel like I'm going to die, but I was able to get out, am I going to die, to the anesthesiologist. And she was like, I'm ready to intubate you at any second. I'm not going to let you die. And I was like, okay. And I've had panic attacks before in life. So I was like, I close my eyes and I do my breathing exercises. I do my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s. I'm just staying here. That's all I'm doing. That's my only job. So I blocked out the room. And I just was like, breathe. You don't need panic on top of this. You can breathe. You don't need to panic. And so I'm just like I've just internalized everything. While I hear the anesthesiologist fighting with the surgeon, her saying, we have a high block, you need to start, because she hadn't even started the surgery. And the surgeon goes, I'm waiting for my assist, I can't start. The assist got pulled into something, I can't start. And the anesthesiologist goes, you need to start. Like, I can't push anymore. I can't keep this lady numb, because high blocks can kill you if you don't know what's happening. But once they know what's happening, and like, it was fine. And I felt like it was going to be fine. But obviously, when you can't breathe, swallow, or talk, it's a little bit different. And so anyways, they're fighting for 10 minutes while I'm lying there, like, just trying not to choke on my own spit and aspirate. And then eventually the cyst comes in and they start the surgery, and I'm still just in. So I'm giving birth, essentially, and cannot be present. And I've waited what feels like my whole life for this magic moment of like, and here's your baby. And we left the gender as a surprise because I wanted Andrew to tell me in the delivery room. So I've like pictured this beautiful moment my whole life of like what having my first baby is going to be like. And I can't even be concerned about the baby. I just need to be concerned about myself. And I just need to breathe. And so I do remember, and it did pull me out of it when they pulled her out and Andrew said, it's a girl, because I really thought it was going to be a boy and I really wanted a girl. So I was shocked and I was like, no way. So that moment was actually, in retrospect, the only thing of it that was like, that gave me that bit that I wanted. So I am very glad that we left it a surprise, because we did have that. But, and at this point I can feel, because she hasn't pushed all of it because it was going high and they took too long to start. And so I'm feeling them stitching me back up. And the anesthesiologist asked if I was okay if she pushed a little bit more, to which I said, absolutely not, because I can just finally start to breathe. And then while they're stitching me up and I can kind of feel it, Janie didn't breathe for like 7 minutes, which I didn't even know because I was so in. And then they bring her to me and put her on my chest. And I can't breathe. So now you've put her on my chest, and my immediate thought is, I need you to take her off of me because I can't breathe.
You couldn't enjoy that moment.
No. And it then made me feel, which I didn't realize until I did therapy to heal all of this, that's what made me feel like I wasn't a good mom. Like,
yeah, sorry, I'm like trying.
It's hard to not get emotional with it, because it immediately made me feel like I was selfish, because I just had this baby and I'm worried about myself and I'm not worried about her. And like, I didn't even notice she didn't breathe at first. Whereas like some parents are like, oh, she didn't breathe for, it was like the longest minute of my life. I think like I have timestamps on my phone. It was like over 5 minutes that she didn't cry. And I didn't even know. Like that just immediately made me feel like that self-doubt that I'm not a good mom and I just don't care about my baby like I thought I would. I don't know. But I was just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So like me now, I just feel so bad for myself in that sense, that like, that really sucks that that's how it all happened, because it really is just a recipe for so much self-doubt and struggling when you like build up this thing in your head about how you feel like, and you've been waiting for this moment, like you said, which honestly, it's a little hard for me to listen to. And I'm not saying that I don't feel so happy for you when you say it, but when you say that room filled with love, that's what I wanted. And that's what I was like, I assumed was going to happen, because you see it in movies, and it made me feel like a bad mom because I didn't feel that way. And I know I'm not. I've done a lot of work to kind of rectify that.
Yeah.
But it made me, it was really, really hard. And then it continued being really hard. So it didn't end there, unfortunately. And so we go into recovery, and my oxygen wasn't great. And so they put me in a high risk recovery, but it's just away from everybody else. And they were so understaffed that we were alone in the room. So I'm high risk, but you're going to put me in a room all alone. No bassinet, no diapers. Exactly. But it's my first baby. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know I'm supposed to have somewhere to put the baby. So it's just Andrew and I. It's during COVID. So we don't have anybody there for support. We're in a province where we don't have any family other than Taylin, who has been an angel and has been driving us stuff back and forth because we left our fucking bags at home. So we're in this room for like, I don't know how many hours. I've like breastfed her a couple times, but she was a really big baby. So she was fully stuck. She was 9 pounds, 11 ounces, and she was stuck in my pelvis. They had to work to get her out even via C-section. And it was very obvious where she was stuck. She was never coming out. So she had low blood sugar, but they didn't find it right away because we didn't have people in our room enough that by the time they found it, they were like, oh, fuck, we need to, do you consent to donor, or do you want donor milk or formula? And I'd already breastfed her a couple times, and I'm like, well, like, this sucks to go straight to bottle, but whatever you need to do, I'm in. And I had said, I want donor milk. And she's like, honestly, that takes like a minute to dethaw or 3 minutes to dethaw. I don't think we have time. Like, do you consent to me giving your baby formula? Like, we need to get her blood sugar up. It was really low. And because we didn't have the care that we needed.
Yeah.
They didn't test it soon enough. And so then I said yes, obviously. So they give her this bottle of formula. Blood sugar doesn't come up enough. We're like trying to do everything. And then the NICU team comes in and takes her. And in that moment, the NICU team came in. This has probably been 9 hours. Still don't have a bassinet. We never put her down. I've been in labor for 33 hours. We haven't slept in days. Other than that brief stint with an epidural went in, we haven't slept in days. And then in that room, we didn't have a bassinet. We couldn't put her down. So we took turns holding her. We are 4 days in of no sleep and alone in this room. I was pressing the call button because I'm like, is anybody going to come change my catheter? Like, take this out so I can go for a walk? Am I not supposed to get up and try to walk? Like, calling, nobody's answering. Andrew's in the hall trying to be like, hello, is anybody there? Nobody's coming by. So the NICU team comes in to take her. And my first thought is like, okay, well, obviously Andrew has to go with her. Like, I can't let them come take my baby and not be there. But then what about me? Like, I'm just in this hospital room that's abandoned, that feels like I'm not okay. I've just gone through the most traumatic thing in my life. You're saying my oxygen's not okay, and nobody's going to take care of me. And my first thoughts being about me made me feel like such a bad mom, because and I didn't realize that at the time, but I think I did. They're coming taking my baby, which of course I'm worried about. Like, no, you can't. Like, we're going to be in different rooms. Like, I'm trying to breastfeed. Like, don't take my new baby from me, and I can't go visit her because nobody's here to help me. I don't know where I am, and I'm going to be alone. And so I immediately, like, they take Jamie, and Andrew stays with me while they're like, get your stuff packed up, Dad, and then come meet us in the NICU. And they like take her right away because they're going to put her on IV sugars. And then I just break down. And then thank God, like 20 minutes later, they come back and they say, while I'm sobbing in my room, we have a room for you with her. There's a room for you with her. So they ended up taking me with her. Thank God for that, because I was not okay. But I think it was, I didn't realize this all affected my attachment with my baby and really caused postpartum depression until I did EMDR. I knew it was hard and I knew that it caused trauma, but I didn't realize that Janie was also a very hard baby following that. Feeding was so challenging. She wouldn't take a breast or a bottle, so we were feeding her through a syringe and a tube, sucking it off of Andrew's thumb or pinky. And she wasn't gaining weight like she was supposed to. They were like, feed her more. We're like, how? We couldn't wake her to feed. She was so lethargic. So it was just like the hardest situation and filled with anxiety. I'm like worried about the well-being of my newborn. I have no clue what's going on. And then she had really bad reflux following that. So there was like 5 months of this. Felt like it didn't end for 5 months. This, like, it started with the labor and it just kept going. And I felt like, what else could go wrong? And at one point I said to Andrew, like, I completely understand why people drop babies off at fire stations, because I was numb. I felt no attachment, quite honestly. I felt none. And nobody wants to say that, because obviously now I very much do. She's my child. I love her endlessly. But you feel guilty even acknowledging that, because who says that? Anyways, a lot of women, now that I'm very vocal about this. And so I know a lot of people who have felt this way, but there's a lot of shame around that. So you don't want to talk about it. And I had a really bad postpartum depression, but people talk about the baby blues. And I just thought, well, that's that. I just need to give it more time.
Baby blues go away.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
This was not that. And I didn't go on antidepressants until 6 months. And I really wish I would have done it sooner. I had a lot of support because everybody could see I wasn't okay. Like, I very much was not okay. So I had a lot of family fly down and stay with us here.
But even like in Inside Out too, like the way that she explains anxiety is she prepares for the things that haven't happened yet. And that's what it is. Like in marriage, even I had to like set my right, because it's you see like a blanket, like a curtain of how things go, when really like a lot of work happens behind the curtains. And even like engagements, like I had said to Steve, I wanted in our engagement, I would love to have like a candid picture. But honestly, if he'd added in that candid picture, it would have ruined the entire experience.
Yeah.
And we'll get in one day about engagements if you want. But literally it was like, if I had set so much on that.
They say good girls follow the rules. They smile, they show up, they keep it together. But you, we know behind that polished exterior, there's a whole lot of anxiety. Hi, I'm Sam, chronic overthinker and host of Good Girls Have Anxiety. This podcast is for anyone who's ever looked calm on the outside, but was secretly spiraling over that one text they sent 3 days ago. Each week, we dive into the messy, hilarious, and sometimes uncomfortable truth about mental health, people-pleasing, boundaries, burnout, and why saying no still makes some of us sweat like we're on trial. We're talking real talk, zero fluff, just honest conversations with a few laughs, and maybe a bit of swearing, or a lot of swearing. Because being a good girl doesn't always mean you're okay all the time. And having anxiety doesn't make you any less powerful, lovable, or worthy. This is Good Girls Have Anxiety. Take a breath, unclench your jaw. You're in the right place. Valuable in sharing, because I just feel like there's always been maybe a little bit left there of attachment issues with both of us. Like maybe it's just a mother-daughter thing, like at each other's heads. I know I was like that with my mom, but you can work on attachment. You can heal attachment. So if you have attachment struggles, or if as a newborn, you and your baby struggled to bond because of traumatic birth, because of feeding issues, because of postpartum depression, whatever it may be, you can work on healing that. And it doesn't have a time limit. Yeah. And so currently we're seeing a therapist, a registered psychologist for TheraPlay is what it's called. If you do feel like you struggle with attachment issues, I just recommend like looking into options. It doesn't have to just be what it is. You can work on it. And so Janie and I are going weekly and we're doing something called TheraPlay. And it really works on rebonding that attachment. And I don't know, some fucking voodoo shit that like getting her brain back to like baby-like behaviors and talking and healing about those experiences that stemmed right from the beginning. So I don't really understand how it works. We're still in the middle of it, but I feel very positive about it. And honestly, either way, it's not going to hurt. I just think it is true. You can heal attachment. You can work on it. So even if you don't feel that right away, don't worry. Yeah. You can totally work on healing that. And I know that Jane and I have an incredible bond, and she is a mama's girl, and we are besties. So just because you feel that right away does not mean it's going to be like that forever. Get help, get on medication quicker. Don't wait until, don't wait until you are so deep down in the trenches to do it. Like, you don't have to wait till you're ready to kill yourself to take action, people. That's my biggest piece of advice, especially postpartum.
And one last thing about you.
Yeah.
You fought tooth and nail through that whole experience for your baby.
That's so true.
Makes you a great mom. You are a great mom. You have great kids. You're a great friend. And I'm just so happy you shared that. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Kate. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. That's it for this episode of Good Girls Have Anxiety. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and review. If your brain's still spiraling, honestly, same. Follow us on Instagram, Good Girls Have Anxiety. Email us, goodgirlshaveanxiety@gmail.com, and send it to a friend. We appreciate every single share, download, and engagement. Now take a breath, unclench your jaw. You're doing great. And remember, being anxious doesn't make you broken. It makes you human. Okay, love you. Bye.